Thank you.
Not having many pianos, children learn on cardboard keys, and some make exceptional progress. This boy of 9 years old started only a year ago.
Long Long at one point was one of those children. Today, he is a virtuoso. But to get there, he had to make sacrifices.
We were actually living in the slum area, so I didn't like Beijing so much.
I'm a trained composer. It starts with my obsession with just the piano as a cultural object. And I think in my recent work, I've been thinking about that a lot. And since we explore a lot of themes about how China is changing our everyday life in Vancouver and also in other places, it was kind of the first thing I thought about. At least I got to Long Long and I was like, well, you know, he interfaces with a lot of these things.
Over a fifth of the world's population is reflected in the way its citizens see themselves.
The way that this piece started for me actually was that basically Remy came to me and said, oh, can you do this thing where you have multiple videos playing at once in the same screen and they're all scaled to play in the same screen? I said, yeah, and I sent him that thing. And then he said, oh, so what I'm thinking is that I want to have something where it plays, where you have like, you know, something like a keyboard and then you can play it and it can do that, like, you know, based on how many keys, it'll show that many videos and they'll all be sized, they'll all to fit in the same screen. So I said, yeah, I think I can do that. And then it was basically a process of using this software that we use to design a program that could do that, and basically allows for you to play up to this particular version we're using. You can have up to 30 keys pressed at one time, and it'll put them all up there, it'll scale them, it'll keep track of them. And
The more I study Long Long, the more I love the piano. Its beauty, its sound, how it feels,
Teacher has
how it
a
looks.
huge responsibility. There are said to be 40 to 50 million children learning to play, and a growing demand for more instruments.
Curating what I'm moving in to the piano or passing through the piano. And obviously, it's so in that sense I kind of find videos that are trying to help me, at least from the beginning. I was thinking of building that argument, or at least observing the changes that he's bringing upon China, and also kind of what is in the world, and then also what's happening in and around him, the kind of people around him. Like obviously one of the quote unquote the major side characters, quote unquote, is Lang Lang's dad. Like as a composer myself, I can start to also take a critical eye on, or look at how he starts to touch into the world that I exist in, and how he interacts with them, and vice versa, how that world interacts with him.
There are about 300 reasons why I will never be Lang Lang or achieve anything close to his level of success.
Within the live performance, the videos that we picked, we were very particular about how it basically the arc that is drawn by the time you get from beginning to end. And those are some clips that perhaps people don't end up ever getting to play. And so it was just a nice way to kind of direct people's attentions and to give them different directions and to get a holistic sense of what this piece could be about for anybody. I actually feel very strongly about the performance now because I realize the aspect that the performance brings in that is not particularly that we haven't fully spoken about is what of the 22 million kids who won't be Lang Lang. So that place of futile work and desire and despair is very compelling for me as an artist. And walking into this container, that may or may not come into your mind.
That's definitely not the first thing that strikes you, right? It's just
Exactly.
like a system you can activate.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, Lang Lang.
Yeah.
He looks pretty cool. He's really hip. He's got great hair, and Coca-Cola even wants to sponsor him. But in terms of, because we started with this critique of and this concern about this phenomenon, my role as this pianist playing Lang Lang's life is a commentary on the work and the sacrifice that is made by so many children now in China.
And it also mirrors some of their actions. There's a clip that says there's someone that he's having a master class with, and he says that child has watched Lang Lang's DVDs more than 100 times, the same one, just to, as a way to, I guess, to be a better pianist, I suppose, but to learn. So. As I started thinking about what makes Vancouver art, or what could make Vancouver art, unique things about Vancouver that I can identify.
I think what we've found, and generally in our work, if we're tapping into a certain something, a certain phenomenon, a certain question, like Lang Lang, what is that? How is that a metaphor for how we interact with a lot of things? What does that say about our common humanity? I think.